So here is a story in the New York Times. On campus, Trump fans say they need safe spaces. In fact, Amanda D. I'm not going to use her last name, even though the Times has, because I'm so worried about her facing possible criticism.
Oh.
A sophomore at the University of Michigan and political director of the College of Republicans, was ecstatic when her candidate, Donald J. Trump, won the presidential election. But her mood of celebration quickly faded when students held an evening vigil on campus to mourn the results. And her biology teacher suspended class on the assumption, Miss D said, that students would be too upset to focus. Let's talk about that for a moment. This poor, poor child having to deal with the fact that other people didn't want the same outcome from the election as her. Here I was ready to have a party, and I looked around and realized I have no friends because other people didn't want this outcome. That's wrong. That's wrong, and
Not
we need a
safe.
strong leader who will force these people to celebrate, not mourn. She was outraged. Nobody has died, Ms. D said. The United States has not died.
Not yet. I mean, it's a
would-
process.
Democracy is more alive than ever.
Well,
Simply put, the American people
That's what Tulsi
voted
says.
and Trump won. Well, that's almost too simply put, because the American public voted, and because of the electoral process that we have in this country, when the electors meet on December 19th, Trump will win.
you know, I love the poorly educated, but I'm also starting to appreciate some college students as well. She seems pretty fucking dumb, too.
She circulated an online petition and accused the university president of catering to the liberal majority by suggesting that, quote, their ideology was superior to the ideology of their peers, as she put it. When he sent out an email publicizing the vigil and listing counseling resources for students upset by the election. 3 days later, she was invited to meet the president in his office. What? I was completely shocked that he even read the letter. That was definitely a new thing. It was very exciting. Conservative students who voted for Trump say that even though their candidate won, their views are not respected. Some are adopting the language of the left, saying they need safe spaces to express their opinions.
I feel that Mexicans are not human, and I would like to not be demonized for expressing that in a collegial environment.
Maybe it turns out that safe spaces is not just about the left, it's about children.
Maybe people who built internet careers on irrelevant arguments that mean absolutely nothing at best and are mind-blowingly stupid at worst should consider this.
Or maybe all those people who are afraid of spaces ruining our country were right, and it's contagious, even jumping across ideological lines. But this is the best part. According to the University of Michigan president, Mark Schlissel, who was clearly moved by meeting with this poor, poor sophomore who had expected everybody to be cheering and was horribly upset.
Yeah, my relatives are going to get deported. I'm going to
That
have my
some
constitutional
people-
protection stripped because of my faith. Yes!
That some people were upset about the outcome of the election. He wrote in a campus-wide message that bias incidences have been reported. A student walking near campus was threatened with being lit on fire because she wore a hijab. Other students were accused of being racist for supporting Mr. Trump.
Wow. Can you read that again?
Let's see. On one hand, There are bias incidents that have been reported. On one hand, a student was threatened with being lit on fire.
It's an incident of bias.
Yes, because she wore a hijab. But on the other hand, some students were accused of being racist for supporting Donald Trump.
And in addition to that, some students didn't feel the safety to threaten Muslim students with being lit on fire because they support Donald Trump.
Why isn't everybody getting together to have a vigil to ban Muslims? I feel like
I feel left out of the conversation.
The only thing that really happened to that girl is that she didn't have to go to class the next day. And so
what a
she's
square.
the most annoying.
Oh, my God. Oh, my God.
I was happy to not go to class.
Yeah, no kidding.
The aggrievement.
Yes.
The aggrievement,
The aggrievement culture.
The aggrievement, it is, and frankly, that's how Donald Trump, that was one of big, like the anti-PC thing is just another aggrievement by conservatives. Wah, wah, wah.
I can't do my impression of someone with Down syndrome in public anymore.
And I'll tell you something.
I can't use the N-word.
I am not mocking this 18, 19-year-old, 20-year-old woman or girl because I understand, you're in college, you're still working, getting your emotional bearings with things, and for the same reason why I excuse other people for wanting, safe spaces that may go beyond where I think it should, although I've yet to see any really widespread. But this notion of aggrievement is endemic in, I think, the vast, vast majority of Trump voters and conservatives. Like I said, I told that story about, because I pushed back on someone's opinion, they wrote a snarky meme about the protests. I push back and say why I think it's rational, and they compare that to literally being pulled out of of a Russian dissenter being pulled out of their bed in the Soviet Union.
She didn't get to go to biology class. It's just like the Soviet Union. I wonder what her blood's like.
Unbelievable. How do you even write something like this, that this is in some...
Who's that breathtakingly stupid guy, David Rubin? He should be on this. I could see weeks worth of content.
Of course.
This is a big deal.
Well, he cares so much about free speech.
No,
right?
I mean, he's really, because people are too sensitive. So I would imagine that he might take a break from endlessly demonizing Muslims and actually making Sam Harris look like he sort of knows what he's talking about to address
maybe
this.
it's just possible he's just sitting there going like, okay, they're actually comparing the accusations of racism to someone who may or may not have been burned alive.
Just shows you how we just
It's the
completely
worst
out of
thing you
control.
can do is to say that someone's a racist for supporting a candidate who was clearly racist.
Exactly.
Just because I overlooked the fact that the man was presenting himself as an existential threat to various minorities, that makes me a racist? Well, excuse me. I wanted to drain the swamp. I was tired of Wall Street having their say in government. And so I just overlooked the racism to vote for the guy who would respect American value.
Why don't you just throw a Mazel Tov cocktail at me?
Unbelievable.
That's truly incredible.
Hey, it's Sam Seder. Why don't you subscribe to this channel? You can do so right over here. Subscribe.